Welcome, and thank you for joining me on the mat today. Today's prenatal yoga class is all going to be about stretching and strengthening our glutes. They are very important when it comes to the weight gain we're going to experience during pregnancy, and sometimes it can feel a lot weaker as we move through our trimesters and even after in postnatal. So let's strengthen and stretch them right now to get us ready. So find yourself a place on the mat. If you have a yoga block, I do recommend grabbing it for one of our exercise. It's not vital though, so if you don't have one, you can do this without. We're going to come right over into tabletop. We'll do a very quick stretch of the back just to get us warmed up and feeling good. So wrists below the shoulders, knees as wide as you need them to be. A little bit of push into the hands. Inhale, lift the chest. Belly drops. Exhale to round the spine. Head drops. Push the earth away. So just taking about 5 of these cat-cows. I just personally find whenever I'm doing exercises, no matter if I'm focusing on some other part of the body, doing a little cat-cow to get me warmed up really helps. And especially during pregnancy, as we tend to have that lower back pain, a little bit of shoulder soreness. And I'll take a last little exhale. Lovely. We're going to take those feet or big toes to touch, knees even wider, hands out a little bit further. Press back into a child's pose, getting a little bit of stretch in the glutes. Little hold. And then gently rise back up. And press back, little hold. And inhale, rise. Exhale, press back. And inhale, rise. Just one more. Exhale, press it back. Inhale, rise up. Bring those hands back beneath you. Knees in a little bit closer. We're going to keep a bend in the knee. You can start with your right or your left side, doesn't matter. Flex the foot, kick the heel up towards the ceiling, nice and slow. And then just gently bring it in as far as you're comfortable with. So if you're in your first trimester, you might be able to bring it in a little bit closer because you have that space. Feel free to do so. And then exhale, kick it up. Nice and slow. A little bit of push in the hands. So we are thinking slow and controlled. And take 2 more. And release back to the earth. Other side. Again, flex the foot. Inhale, kick back. Exhale, bring it in. Two more. Lovely. Release back to the earth. All right, we're going to come up to standing. If you want to take a downward dog with me, feel free to do so. If you're feeling dizzy, skip it, just stand up. So if you're coming into your downward dog, feet nice and wide, knees nice and wide, tuck the toes underneath, press into the hands, hips up and back. A little bit of press back. And then walk the feet, the hands together. A little half lift. And then we're going to rise back up nice and tall. Good. Give everything a little bit of a wiggle. All right, to start us off, we're going to, from our standing movements. We're going to take the feet wider than hip distance, toes pretty much straight forward. They can be out a little bit if that feels comfortable as you are moving. We're going to be sitting back. Now, we don't want the butt to go straight down, knees forward. As much as possible, the butt is going to go back and the knees are going to stay above the ankles. You will notice that my knees do go forward a little bit. Just has to do with balance. Really, if I get my knees back any further, I'm going to fall over. You don't want that. Hands can do whatever you like. If you have some weights as well, and you're feeling, even if they're 2 pounds, you want to add a little bit of weight, that's an awesome idea as well. Grow nice and tall. You'll notice my chest does come forward a little bit. We're going to sink down low and then press through the feet to come back up. Exhale to lower. Little press. Again, knees as much over the ankles as possible. Definitely not coming in front of those toes. If you need to look down to check in, feel free to do so. All right, we're going to start mixing it up a little bit as you come down. Little pulses. And rise up. This is about a 10-second pulse. Notice we're working those thighs too. Can't really work the glutes much without working the thighs. In all the standing movements, at least. One more. Good. Rise up, a little relax. All right, make sure you have enough space behind you. So if you need to come a little bit further on top to the top of your mat, please do so. We're going to be alternating right and then the left leg. You go as slow as you need to. This isn't a fast movement, especially during pregnancy. Hands can be either at your hips, heart center. Again, you can have some light weights here. We're going to be stepping back, coming into a little low lunge. Knee doesn't need to touch. And then rise back up. Come back to the standing position. If your glutes are already feeling a little tight, just come into the other side. If you'd like a little extra workout, you can do that little squat again, that little chair squat. Step back, lower, lift, and then back to the top. Again, optional little chair. Step back. So if you are finding you are going quite slow here, that is fine. Don't worry about keeping up with me. Even I'm going. My pace is slow, but even if you're slower, that's great. If you've got them weights, just keep them up nice and high. If you want a little movement, you can bring them down, up as you sit, down as you stand. Even if you got pretend weights like I do. Now we do want to make sure we are even. So we're going to do 2 or 3 more depending on which side you chose to start with. So I started with the right back. So now I have 2 left. Oh, I sped it up a little bit. Last little sit. And then again, give everything a little bit of movement. All right. Last couple exercises is a short class today. We're going to come down to the mat and we're going to use that little block if we have it. So we're going to come onto our side. Knees are bent. Feet are close to the hips, lined up with the hips, a little bit back perhaps. If you are in your third trimester, you may find it more comfortable to have a pillow underneath the armpit. But otherwise, just come to this very casual little lounge mode here. The block, if you have it, is going to come underneath the ankles, underneath the foot. And then all we're going to do is these little clamshells. So we're going to open up the leg, feet stay together, and lower. If you have one of those exercise bands, even if it is a very light band, you can wrap it around the thighs and open and close here. That's going to really get into the glutes. And again, nice and slow and controlled, almost feeling like you're resisting the movement, going both up and down. Now, if you're already getting some glute pain, pick the side that is a little bit more tight and do a couple extra on there. Now, I've lost count, I will admit, but let's say I'm doing 10 on this side and my other side is the tight one. I'm going to do 15. So only about 50% more. No need to go overboard. So one thing we do especially want to be careful of is over-exercising. There is such thing as under-exercising, but we also don't want to over-exercise, make any pain worse, or add pain to a different part of the body. All right, that feels like 10 or 12. If you counted, do about the same on the other side, or more or less, depending on if you have that pain. We're going to flip right over, move the block. Now you can just roll over as well, but I'm going to keep facing you. So again, block underneath the ankles, lift and lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale to lower. All right, I'm going to do 2 more. That just feels about even. If you counted, and feel free to add or take away. If you've already stopped, that's fine too. All right. Press yourself up. Last little stretch for our glutes. We're going to come into our figure 4. So feet are planted, hands back behind us, crossing one leg over the other. And then just take a little sway. You can take this sway as big or as small as you like. Sometimes I find giving a little bit more of a big movement stretches a little bit more. Good. Come back to center, straighten out the legs, give it a little bit of a shake, cross the other side over, and bend it in as far in as you're comfortable with, as far in as belly allows for you as well. And then again, start that sway. Come back to center and straighten out those legs to relax. All right. Just find any comfortable seated position. Now, if any of those movements feel particularly good today, or you want to do a little bit more strengthening, so the strengthening, I recommend the kick up the back, the little squats, or the step back in the lunges. Those are going to be your strengthening exercises, and the other ones are all going to be about stretching. Make sure you do both of them in a session. You're more than welcome, obviously, to continue and do those again. But for today, we'll finish up there. Grow tall through the spine. Let those shoulders just be heavy. I'll invite you to close the eyes. Just a couple deep breaths. Always nice to find a little stillness, especially if you're feeling quite busy lately. Take one really big deep breath in. Reach the arms up overhead. Grow tall. As you exhale, sigh it out. Let the hands rest at heart center. And I thank you for joining me on the mat today. And I hope to see you again soon. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste.